You think moving into a quiet neighborhood means you're buying peace and safety, but I learned the hard way that sometimes you're actually buying a front row seat to someone else's kingdom. When my wife and I packed up 35 years of city living and settled in a lakeside meadows, we thought we'd found our little slice of heaven. A modest 3-bedroom, a yard just big enough for the grandkids, and a cul-de-sac where folks waved as they walked their dogs. It felt like the dream until we met her. Her name was Marjorie Kent. At first glance, she looked like a friendly retiree who'd taken up too much time at Home Depot. Neon vest, clipboard, sunglasses too big for her face. But behind that smile was something else. She wasn't just a neighbor. She was the self-appointed ruler of our HOA. And when I say ruler, I mean it. She rolled around in a golf cart with flashing lights she bought off eBay, patrolling like it was a military zone. It started with little notes. A warning about our trash been being visible too long. A fine for chalk drawings my grandsons left on the driveway. My wife, Carol, try to brush it off. Don't get worked up, honey. It's just how some people are. But deep down, I knew this wasn't about rules, it was about control. One afternoon, I was laying down mulch when that little black cart rolled up. She parked diagonally across the curb, hazard lights spinning, like she was running a drug bust. "Mr. Harris," she barked, "you didn't file the paperwork for that shed." I laughed, thinking she was joking. The shed was just for tools, painted to match the house. But she tapped her clipboard like a gavel. "All new structures require committee approval. Halt construction immediately." Committee, I later learned, was just her and a neighbor too timid to say no. No votes, no minutes, nothing, just Marjorie handing down orders like a queen with a shaky crown. At first I tried to play along. I filled out her ridiculous forms. I paid 1 or 2 of the smaller fines just to avoid a fight. But the notices kept piling up. Trash cans, lawn edging, Christmas lights. Even overly visible garden tools. And it wasn't just me. My neighbor Tom, a retired Navy man, got hit with a violation for the height of his flagpole, a pole that had stood there for 6 years without a problem. Mrs. Alvarez down the street, a sweet widow who fed stray cats, was threatened with vermin fines. It became clear this wasn't about protecting property values. It was about feeding her need to dominate. The more she pushed, the more I felt that fire in my chest. I started keeping records. Every letter, every photo she snapped, every ridiculous fine. My daughter, Megan, who happens to be the county sheriff, told me, "Dad, this isn't just petty. This is harassment. Treat it like evidence." So I did. I kept a banker's box in the garage labeled HOA files, stuffed with every scrap of paper she ever touched. And then things escalated. Marjorie started mailing fake legal notices, threatening liens on our property, even though our house had never legally been part of the HOA to begin with. I'll never forget the day she hammered a sign into the cul-de-sac, "Private road, HOA access only." That street belonged to the county, but she acted like it was her empire. She even printed letterhead with Kent and Associates to make her threats look official. Except Kent and Associates was just her sitting in her living room with a box of printer paper. By then, the neighborhood was restless. At barbecues and over fences, folks whispered about fines, forged documents, and missing HOA money. Tom finally pulled me aside one morning, his face tight. "She fined me $100 for that flagpole. Jack, this is out of control." And that was the moment we realized we weren't alone. We started meeting quietly, comparing notes. Mrs. Alvarez admitted she'd paid hundreds for pest control that never happened. A young couple confessed they'd been fined for buying a swing set from Walmart instead of her approved vendor. And then Gerald, the timid committee member, showed up at my garage one evening, hands shaking. "There haven't been real meetings in over a year," he admitted. "She forges my signature. And the snowplow we supposedly hired last winter never existed." He handed me a copy of one of her fake meeting notes, his own name scribbled on it in handwriting that wasn't his. That was the smoking gun. With Megan's help, I drafted a letter. 3 pages, no insults, no drama, just evidence. We mailed it to every single homeowner. It laid out the truth. The HOA had legally dissolved 18 months ago. Dues collected since then had no authority, Signatures have been forged, services never delivered. We ended it simply. Please, don't pay another dime until accountability is restored. The effect was immediate. Neighbors stood in driveways, holding those letters, eyes wide with shock and anger. For the first time, the spell was breaking. And Marjorie knew it. 2 days later, her golf cart came barreling across my lawn, crushing Carol's flower bed. She leapt out, waving my letter in one hand, her face red as fire. You think you can destroy everything I've built? You liar, you traitor. Bow my ground. Marjorie, you're trespassing. Go home. She jabbed a finger at me. This is my community, my rules. You don't get to say no. That's when Megan came up from the dock, barefoot, a towel around her shoulders. She'd been helping the kids fish minnows. Marjorie saw her and snapped. And you, don't think being his daughter makes you special. You're just another rule breaker. Megan's voice cut through the chaos, calm but sharp. Marjorie, step back. Let's talk this out. But Marjorie's hand went to her vest, and before I could breathe, there it was, cold steel glinting in the sun. A black pistol aimed at my daughter's chest. Hands up, she screamed. This is a citizen's arrest. My knees nearly gave out, but Megan, God bless her, didn't flinch. She squared her shoulders and projected that voice I'd heard her use at the academy. Ma'am, put the weapon down now. My name is Megan Harris. I am the elected sheriff of this county, and you are committing aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. For a second, the words stunned her. Sheriff? In her mind, Megan was just the girl next door. But Megan stepped closer, eyes locked. You have 30 seconds before a squad car takes you away in cuffs. Drop it. And right on cue, we all heard it, the wail of sirens echoing through the neighborhood. Marjorie's hand shook, sweat dripping down her face. She stammered, she was trespassing, and then the gun clattered onto the driveway. Deputies pulled up, lights flashing, weapons ready, only to pause when they saw their boss barefoot and steady as stone. Sheriff, you okay? One called out. I'm fine, Megan answered, never breaking eye contact. Secure the weapon. Take her into custody. The look on Marjorie's face as they cuffed her, I'll never forget it. Not the smug queen anymore, but a desperate woman realizing her paper empire had crumbled. She screamed, I'm the president. You can't arrest me. But the deputy just read her rights, calm as can be. In the days after, the truth poured out like floodwater. Boxes of fake violation notices were found in her garage. Thousands in cash tucked in shoeboxes. Forged meeting minutes, fake invoices. She was charged with fraud, embezzlement, aggravated assault, the works. 2 weeks later, we held the first real neighborhood meeting in years. No golf cart, no neon vest, just folks sitting in folding chairs, deciding together. Tom read from a clipboard. Do we dissolve this mess or rebuild something honest? Hands went up unanimously. Dissolve the sham, start fresh with open books and real votes. For the first time, it felt like a community, not a kingdom. I'll tell you, when I sat on that dock with Megan watching the sun sink, I thought about how we came here for peace and ended up in a war over control. She smiled and said, Dad, you handled yourself well. I laughed. I didn't do much. I just refused to back down. And she shook her head. That's more than most. Marjorie ended up with probation, fines, and a lifetime ban from any HOA board. The newspaper called her the tyrant of Lakeside Meadows. We didn't celebrate. We just felt relief, like a weight had been lifted. Neighbors came over with burgers and beer, and for the first time, laughter filled the air without tension humming underneath. But I'll be honest, sometimes at night, when I see the empty street where that golf cart used to prowl, I wonder, was she just a lonely woman who needed control to feel alive? Or was she always bound to self-destruct? Did we defeat her? Or did she defeat herself? What do you think? Was justice served? Or did the system let her off too easy? And deeper still, do HOAs protect communities? Or do they just hand power to the wrong kind of people? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this with someone who's dealt with a nightmare neighbor. And let's hear your stories. Because I know I'm not the only one who thought they were buying peace, only to end up in the middle of a war.